Starting Act 3 can be overwhelming for many because of the sheer tons of activities you can do in this chapter. But the most important thing to do first is to learn the painted power Picto and immediately use it for your builds. This Picto will allow you to break the damage cap and reach millions of damage if your characters are built properly. Endgame enemies have millions and millions of HP, so not including painted power in your builds right away at the start of Act 3 will give you massive headaches in the long run. Step 2 is maxing out your party members' bonds. At this point, you already know that you can increase their bond levels by simply interacting with each of them in your camp. As you increase your bond levels with them and reach level 5 to 6, they will ask you to complete a certain task or complete an optional zone in the map, which also gives you great additional rewards. Once Verso's relationship with Lune increases to 6, Verso and Lune will plan on visiting Siren's Dress, so step 3 is getting to Siren's Dress and completing the optional area, and here's the location for your convenience. You'll be getting one of the best weapons for Lune, which is Coralim, and more into weapons later on. Once you complete this level and beat the optional boss, talk to Lune back in camp once again to reach level 7 bond with Lune and unlock her gradient attack Skybreak. To make the guide concise and to keep the spoilers to a minimum, I will not be detailing how to complete a certain zone or beat a certain boss. The main objective of this guide is to point you in the right direction and do the most pressing matters that will improve your overall progress. Step 4 is maxing out SK's bond. As you progress his bond level, he will ask you to visit SK's nest once again, which I'm showing you the location on the screen right now. You will be visiting Francois once again, and after this interaction, you will be unlocking SK's diving ability, which is the key factor of reaching a late game location. Keep talking to SK to reach his level 7 bond and unlock Angel Eyes gradient attack for Verso. The next step is maxing Miles' bond to level 7 just like the others. She will ask Verso to visit the Reacher optional area, which I'm showing you the location on the screen right now. Progress in the area and beat the boss, and eventually unlocks her Gumach gradient ability, which is her strongest attack in the game, useful for burst setups later on. Step 6 is doing Monaco's side quest to max his bond. He will ask Verso to visit the Sacred River optional zone, which I'm showing you the location on the screen right now. You will be beating a familiar boss in this area to complete the side quest. While you are here, don't forget to buy all of the exclusive wares of the merchant, especially the pictos if you have the chroma, or come back to it later on. Heading back to camp with Monaco and conversing with him will increase his bond level to level 7, unlocking Monaco's breakpoint gradient attack. Unlike the others, Ciel doesn't have any special side quests for you to complete. Just keep talking to her at the start of Act 3 and eventually you will reach her level 7 bond, which unlocks her End Slice gradient attack. After doing all of the prior steps so far, you do have an option to complete the game if you want a fair experience when beating the boss in this game. This only applies if you don't want to steamroll the story content and experience the final battle to the full. In my opinion, having a fair fight with the final boss will always boils down to the build, but having at least character levels of 50 to 60 is good enough. But if you don't want to complete the game at this point and want to do the most important side content first, skip to the next step. After defeating the final boss in Act 2, your character level is around mid to 40s to 50s. You do have an option to max your characters easily to level 99 at this point if you want to steamroll all of the optional content in Act 3 if you are in a hurry. I covered the best of the best spots and laid the best level progression guide from leveling your characters from level 50 to 99 in the quickest way possible. If you don't want to be over leveled and get at least few levels to gain gradual stats, this guide is still for you. Access the guide in the description or click the card here. Not just character levels, but of course, you will need a lot of Lumina to improve your character builds. And yes, I have recently covered the best of the best spots and methods that you can already access in Act 3 and gain Lumina fast. This guide will save you a lot of time and guesswork as I covered the best builds and methods to farm Lumina in 4 different spots. And as always, link in the description or click the card here. If you are getting value so far, subscribe to the channel. Liking the video and engaging in the comments helps me a lot. Join our Discord server and discuss role-playing games such as this, and I appreciate your support. Step 11 is sweeping the world map for optional boss battles to get additional weapons and pictos that you can take advantage of. I am not going to pinpoint every optional boss in the world map, and by simply exploring the world map properly, you can easily spot the said bosses. In most cases, these are the bosses that you skip because they are way too powerful for you during the early to mid parts of the game. So in most cases, taking these bosses down will not be so hard in Act 3. Of course, some special optional bosses drop special weapons and pictos, and I will be discussing each of them later on. The next steps will be dedicated to hunting the best of the best pictos in the entire game and the ones that mostly can be obtained in Act 3. Most of the time, these pictos are helpful to build burst setups or AP stacking setups. Step 12 is of course getting the most powerful picto in the game, which is the cheater picto, which allows the user to have 2 consecutive turns without any special requirements. Get this picto by beating the sprung optional boss, which I'm showing you the location on the screen right now. The optional boss is hard to miss because of its size, and I bet you already noticed it during Act 2. Beat Sprung in a match easily if you already level up yourselves way past level 60 and get the cheater picto. Once you acquire the picto, immediately master it and make sure your 3 main characters have the ability. I cannot stress how powerful having 3 characters that can act 2 consecutive turns, helpful in farming XP or Lumina or in general combat. Getting the 1 picto is the next step by beating a special mime optional boss in Sunless Cliffs. Beat the mime once in this area and you can get the bald outfit and the 1 picto. This picto is simply broken because it forces the user to have 1 HP at the start of combat, which works perfectly in burst setups. Then remove the 1 picto after, leaving the character HP to 1. And then equip the At Death's Door Lumina to have that 50% damage multiplier, or by simply equipping the 1 picto with the additional 108% critical chance it provides. Another must-have picto that works perfectly to burst setups is the Auto Powerful Picto, which grants the powerful buff to the user at the start of battle. This is one of the Lumina that I don't remove when fighting in groups. Get this picto by interacting with Chalier in Flying Cemetery, a location that I am showing on the screen right now. Agreeing to Chalier's request will grant you the picto, so be sure to master the picto right away and your party members will surely grow stronger. If you haven't beaten the Serpent Hair boss when I asked you to hunt world map optional bosses during step 11, now is the time to do so. I'm showing you the location of the Serpent Hair on the screen right now. Beating the Serpent Hair will give you one of the best pictos in the game, which is the Energy Master picto. This picto doubles all of your AP gains from all of your AP generating Lumina. Once again, I cannot stress how important AP in this game, and this picto will allow the user to have access to high cost and damaging skills more often. Dealing normal attacks is one of the best AP generating tactics in this game, and combo attack pictos increases the character's normal attack combination count. Get the combo attack 2 by beating the chromatic Clair Obscur inside the monolith where you battle the final boss in Act 2. The next step is getting the combo attack 3, which is the last picto for this specific picto line. You can get this picto by visiting the Dark Gestural Arena, which I'm showing you the location on the screen right now. Enter the Dark Gestural Arena and participate in the matches. One of these fights will reward you with the combo attack 3, completing your set. Having all 3 combo attack Lumina equipped, watch your normal attacks generates a huge amount of AP in combat. The Breaking Death picto is one of the best pictos in both farming and general fights, so I use this picto a lot. What it does is increases the enemy's break gauge at max when a party member dies. This picto perfectly synergizes with auto death and death bomb Lumina setups where you damage the enemy and at the same time max out their break gauge. This is one of the best strategies when farming Lumina, especially if you are using Verso with the Contorso weapon. Once again, if you want to know how the best farming builds and methods work, you can always check my optimized Lumina farming guide in the description where I discuss heavily how the Contorso is working so far. Get the Breaking Death picto by beating the Thunder Evake located on the world map, and I'm showing you the location on the screen right now. There is a high chance you've already beaten this guy if you followed my open world boss hunting tip in this guide. Step 19 is getting the warming up picto by beating the Grostere optional boss in the world map. Find the boss location near Coastal Cave, which I'm showing you on the screen right now. This picto adds 5% increased damage per turn and can stack up to 25%. Very useful if you're engaged in long fights, especially boss battles. Pictos are out of the way, let me guide you on which weapon you can't miss in Act 3, as each of these weapons affect your builds heavily and gives you the ability to deal the highest damage possible. Starting Mayel first, and getting Medalum should be your priority, especially if you main her. If you miss this weapon in Act 1, you can still pretty much get it by visiting the Gestural Village and challenging Golgra in a match. If you think you lack the character levels at this point, this is the perfect time to gain significant levels by following my mentioned endgame leveling guide. Mayel is one of the characters that has a lot of good weapons to choose from, but there is no doubt that the Medalum is one of the best, allowing her to access Virtuous Stance, which adds 200% damage multipliers when the battle starts, perfect for one-turn kill or burst setups. Monoko is one of the best characters to use when farming Lumina in the game, and you already know this if you followed my Lumina farming guide. Joyaro allows Monoko to start with an Almighty Mask, which boosts the Sakapatat fire skill damage by a ton. Using this skill can burst down even the hardest trash enemies in the game, perfect for farming or general combat. Getting the Joyaro and the Sakapatat fire skill by beating the optional boss Ultimate Sakapatat with Monoko in Endless Night Sanctuary, which I am showing you the location on the screen right now. When it comes to Verso, I will be suggesting multiple weapons since he has a lot of good swords to play with, but the Contorso is one of the must-haves. Contorso is one of the key factors to gain Lumina fast since it is currently bugged and can make enemy drops double rewards. Just in case you missed this weapon in Act 2, you can get it in Visage Island and find the Joil Vale Expedition flag. Near your location, there's a crawling Nevron that you need to kill to make the weapon drop. The Chevalam allows Verso to immediately start at S rank and have access to high damage multipliers when the battle starts. You can find this weapon in Crimson Forest, and I'm showing you the location on the screen right now. Progress in the area and beat the optional boss to get this weapon as a reward. Although CL is a little bit all over the place when it comes to her best weapons, Charnon is my opinion is the best in most cases. The 20% damage it provides in every consecutive turns is huge. Get this weapon by beating the merchant in Renoir's drafts. Starting from the Golden Tree Expedition flag, head to the nearest open space and notice that you can access the roof of the structure near you. Access the grappling mechanism to locate the merchant. Challenge and beat the merchant to buy Charnon and buy other helpful pictos for your collection. From here on out, this is really the time to max out your character levels to 99 and optimize your Lumina slots if you skip the grind when I ask you to do so in the early parts of this guide. Again, I have linked both of my guides in the description for your convenience. Optimizing your party builds is a must since we'll be accessing the hardest optional content in the next steps. Step 26 is maxing your weapon to level 33 if you haven't done so yet. But for you to do so, you need Perfect Chroma Catalyst to upgrade your weapons from level 32 to 33. To avoid spoilers, I will just show you all of the locations where you can get Perfect Chroma Catalyst during your first playthrough. You can get 3 Perfect Chroma Catalysts in Renoir's drafts by defeating an optional boss in the area and 2 from defeating the super boss, which I will dive into later on. If you follow this guide, you already got 1 Perfect Chroma Catalyst by beating the Serpent Hair because we wanted the Energy Master Picto. Another one is by beating the boss in the Painted Workshop, but you need to find all of the Painted Workshop location in the world map, which is an easy task. Get a Perfect Chroma Catalyst by beating the Trial 11 Stage 3 match in Endless Tower. The Endless Tower will let you fight a gauntlet of 33 battles with multiple bosses in it. This is also one of the reasons why I asked you to come prepared, as the fights can be a little bit challenging. The Flying Manor has the same design where you will be beating 4 consecutive bosses to access the main optional boss in the area. You will be getting 4 Perfect Catalysts by beating all of the optional bosses in the area. Again, I'm showing the Flying Manor's location on the screen right now. So in total, you can get 11 Perfect Chroma Catalysts in your first playthrough. Just like in all JRPGs, there's a super boss in this game. The super boss, as expected, can be challenging if you're not prepared, and you can simply find this boss at the end of the Renoir's drafts. Again, to avoid spoilers, I'm not going to show you the actual fight, but beating this guy will reward you with Sumoso, which is Verso's ultimate sword if you will, perfect for New Game Plus runs. Also, I'm showing the stats of the weapon on the screen right now. If you decided to hold off on completing the game when I ask you during the early parts of this guide, this is the time to do so. At this point, you've already seen the majority of the optional content in Act 3. The game has 2 major endings and you can access both in just one playthrough. Completing the game once and loading it will let you access Lumiere's event once again. Simply clear the final stage once again and choose the other option presented to you at the end of the game to see the other ending. Step 29 is to know how New Game Plus works. When clearing the game once, you will have the option to access New Game Plus when interacting with the Expedition flag. In the New Game Plus mode, enemies and bosses will be stronger, perfect if you like to test your builds. All of your weapons, character stats, skills, pictos, and outfits will be carried over to New Game Plus. But side quests, quest items, collectibles, and relationship levels will not be carried over. And of course, there are a lot of things I was not able to include in this guide. But these are the most pressing matters that you can't miss during Act 3. But what if you want to know how to get 3,000 Lumina in an hour for your character builds? Click on this video and I will catch you on the next one.